The waitress couldn't afford to face her ex alone at the company gala, so she rented a boyfriend for $100. He was calm, cold, and too perfect to be real. What she didn't know, the man she hired was a vampire king, and the moment he touched her hand, every hunter in that room recognized her as the royal heir they'd been searching for a century. The dress didn't fit right. Lena tugged at the waist of the borrowed black gown as she stood outside the Grandview Hotel, watching luxury cars pull up one after another. Valets in crisp uniforms rushed to open doors for women dripping in diamonds and men who smelled like old money. She didn't belong here. But her boss had made it clear. Attendance at the annual Hartwell Industries Gala wasn't optional. Not for management. And technically, after 3 years of serving coffee and organizing files, they'd finally promoted her to junior associate, which meant the same work, slightly better pay, and mandatory appearances at events like this. Events where her ex-boyfriend Marcus would be, with his new girlfriend, who worked in marketing and had perfect teeth. Lena checked her phone. 7:43 p.m. He was late. She'd found the service on a recommendation from a coworker who'd used it for a wedding. Companion connections, professional, discreet companionship for any occasion, $100 for 3 hours. She'd paid it, even though it was half her grocery budget. Anything was better than walking in alone and facing the pity smiles. Lena Martinez. She turned. The man standing behind her didn't look like someone who rented himself out by the hour. He was tall, not dramatically so, but enough that she had to tilt her chin up to meet his eyes. Dark suit, perfectly tailored. Black hair brushed back from a face that was too still, too controlled. His eyes were pale gray, the kind that seemed to look through things instead of at them.
You're
Valon. I am, his voice was quiet.
Calm.
Like deep water. You're very, she stopped herself. Punctual. You paid for 3 hours. I won't waste them. He offered his arm. Lena hesitated, then looped her hand through. His forearm was solid beneath the fabric, and cold, probably from standing outside. They walked toward the entrance together. So, Lena said, trying to fill the silence, have you done this before? The whole rent-a-date thing. A few times. Is it always this awkward? His mouth didn't quite smile, but something shifted in his expression. Usually, the ballroom was excessive in the way only corporate events could be. Crystal chandeliers, ice sculptures, a string quartet playing something elegant and forgettable. People clustered in groups, laughing too loudly, holding champagne flutes like shields. Lena felt eyes turn toward them as they entered. No, not them. Him. Lena. Her boss, Kenneth, materialized from the crowd, red-faced and already drunk. You made it. And you brought a... He looked Valon up and down with the kind of assessment men do when they're deciding if someone is a threat. A guest. This is Valon, Lena said. Valon, this is Kenneth Hartwell. He runs the company. Pleasure, Valon said, but didn't extend his hand. Kenneth's smile faltered.
Right. Well.
Enjoy the evening. He disappeared back into the crowd faster than he'd come. You didn't shake his hand, Lena whispered.
No.
Why not? I don't like him. Lena blinked. You don't even know him. Valon's gaze swept the room slowly, methodically. I know enough. It should have sounded arrogant. But the way he said it, flat, factual, made her skin prickle. They moved toward the bar. Lena ordered wine. Valon ordered nothing. You're not drinking?
No.
Are you always this chatty? Yes. Despite herself, Lena laughed. That's when she saw Marcus. He stood near the dessert table, arm around a blonde woman in a red dress that probably cost more than Lena's rent. He hadn't noticed her yet, but it was only a matter of time. There's something you should know, Lena said quietly. My ex is here. That's him. The guy in the navy suit. Valon didn't look. And you want me to play the attentive boyfriend. That's what I paid for. Then we should dance. Before she could respond, Valon set down her wine glass and led her onto the floor. The quartet had shifted into something slower, a waltz. Couples swayed around them like a sea of black tie formality. Valon's hand settled on her waist. The other took hers.
And he moved.
Not like someone pretending. Like someone who'd done this 1,000 times, in ballrooms far older than this one. Lena tried to follow, stumbling slightly. I'm not very good at. You don't need to be. Just stay close.
She did.
And for a few minutes, the anxiety faded. The room blurred into light and motion, and all she could focus on was the strange, steady calm of the man holding her. Then she felt it. A shift in the air. A silence that didn't belong. Valon's hand tightened on her waist, just slightly. What? Lena started. Don't look, he said softly. Keep moving. But she did look. 3 men stood near the entrance. They weren't dressed like guests. Black coats, too heavy for the season. They weren't watching the room. They were watching Valon. One of them leaned toward another and whispered something. The second man went pale. Valon, Lena's voice cracked. I know his tone didn't change, but something in his posture did. Coiled, ready. When the song ends, we leave.
Calmly.
Who are they? No one you need to worry about. That's not an answer. His pale eyes met hers, and for the first time, she saw something flicker beneath the surface. Not fear. Warning. Not here, he said quietly. Trust me for 10 more minutes. The song ended. Valon guided her off the floor, his hand never leaving the small of her back. They moved toward the exit, slow and deliberate, blending into the clusters of guests filtering in and out. The men in black coats didn't follow. But they watched. Every step. As they crossed the threshold into the hotel lobby, Lena heard it, a voice behind them, low and sharp. That's him. That's the crowned shade. Valon's fingers pressed into her spine. Not painful, but urgent. Walk faster. What did they just call you? Lena. Walk. They pushed through the glass doors into the night air. Valon's car, a sleek black sedan that looked like it cost more than her yearly salary, was parked near the valet stand. He opened the passenger door. Get in. Not until you tell me what the hell is going on. Valon's jaw tightened. For a moment, he looked like he might argue. Then he leaned in close, his voice barely a whisper. You rented a man for the evening, but you didn't rent a normal 1-inch. What does that mean? His pale eyes held hers. It means your life just became very complicated. Lena's heart slammed against her ribs. And it means, Valon continued, pulling the door wider, that as of tonight, someone is watching you because of me. Valon didn't speak as he drove. Lena gripped the edge of her seat, watching streetlights blur past the window. Her mind raced through a dozen explanations, none of them good. Maybe he was a criminal. Maybe those men were cops. Maybe she'd just paid $100 to be an accessory to something that would end with her face on the news. Where are we going? She asked. Your apartment. How do you know where I live? You put your address in the booking form.
Right. She had.
The car turned into the underground parking garage of her building, a gray concrete maze that always smelled faintly of oil and mildew. Valon pulled into a spot near the elevator and cut the engine. Silence pressed in around them. Explain, Lena said.
Now.
Valon's hands rested on the steering wheel, perfectly still. Those men at the gala. The ones who looked like they wanted to kill you. They're hunters. Lena waited for the punchline. It didn't come. Hunters, she repeated slowly. Like,
what?
Bounty hunters. Something like that. And what did they want with you? Valon turned to face her, his pale eyes unreadable in the dim light. That's complicated. Then uncomplicated. Before he could answer, the elevator doors across the garage opened. 4 men stepped out. Not the same ones from the gala, but close enough, black coats, hard faces, moving with the kind of precision that came from training. They fanned out across the garage, scanning the rows of parked cars. Valon's posture shifted instantly. Not panicked, but awake. Stay in the car, he said quietly. What are they?
Lena. Stay. In.
The car. He stepped out and closed the door behind him with a soft click. The men saw him immediately. The one in front, older, with a scar running down his neck, raised a hand. The other stopped. Valon Ashcroft, the scarred man said. His voice echoed off the concrete walls. Didn't expect to see you at a human gala. Clearly, Valon replied. His tone was conversational, almost bored. Since you sent 4 men to follow me home. We're not here for you. Then leave. The man smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. We're here for the girl.
Lena's blood went cold.
Valon took a single step forward. Not aggressive. Not rushed. But every man in that garage tensed. Turn around, Valon said quietly.
Leave.
She is not yours. The scarred man hesitated. His hand drifted toward his coat, toward something hidden inside. Valon didn't move. Didn't blink. Just stared. And something in that stare made the man's hand stop. You don't have authority here anymore, the scarred man said, but his voice had lost its edge. The old laws are dead. Then you have nothing to fear from me. It wasn't a threat. It was a fact. The silence stretched so thin it could snap. Then, slowly, the scarred man took a step back. He nodded once to his men. They retreated toward the elevator, movement stiff, eyes never leaving Valon.
The doors closed.
They were gone. Valon returned to the car, slid into the driver's seat, and exhaled. Just once, controlled and measured. Lena stared at him. What the hell was that? A warning? For who? Me or you? Both. He started the car and drove up the ramp to street level, then parked in front of her building's entrance under a flickering streetlight. Lena's hands were shaking. She pressed them flat against her thighs. You need to tell me what's going on. Right now. Valon turned off the engine. For a long moment, he just sat there, staring through the windshield at nothing. You hired me for 3 hours, he said finally. That contract is over. You don't owe me anything, and I don't owe you anything. That's not an answer. It's the only one I can give you tonight. Lena's frustration boiled over. Those men knew my name. They said they were here for me. You don't get to drop that on me, and then leave. Valon's jaw tightened. If I tell you the truth, your life changes.
Permanently.
You won't be able to unhear it. My life already changed the second you walked into that gala. He looked at her then, really looked, like he was measuring something he couldn't see. Yes, he said quietly. It did. Then tell me. Valon reached into his coat and pulled out a card, plain white, with a single phone number printed in black ink. He handed it to her. If anything unusual happens in the next 24 hours, call this number. Don't go to the police. Don't tell anyone else. Just call. Unusual like what? Like cars following you. Like strangers asking about your family. Like people watching your apartment. Lena's stomach dropped. You think they'll come back? I know they will. He got out of the car and opened her door. She stepped onto the sidewalk, legs unsteady. Valon didn't follow her toward the building entrance. He just stood there, hands in his pockets, looking like a man carved from stone. Valon, Lena said. Who are you? His expression softened, just barely. Someone who should have stayed away from you. He walked back to the car. Wait. Lena started forward. Valon paused, hand on the door. Your life is going to change, he said quietly. You should sleep while it's still quiet. Then he was gone. Lena stood alone on the empty street, holding a business card with no name, watching taillights disappear into the dark. Lena didn't sleep. She tried, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything that had happened. The men in the garage. Valon's unnatural calm. The way they'd obeyed him without a fight. She is not yours. What did that mean? By the time pale sunlight crept through her curtains, she convinced herself it was some kind of misunderstanding. Maybe Valon had a complicated past. Maybe he owed someone money. Maybe she'd just been in the wrong place at the wrong time. People didn't get hunted for no reason. She got up, made coffee, tried to feel normal. Then she looked out the window. A black van sat parked across the street. Same spot as yesterday. Same tinted windows. Engine off. Lena's hand tightened around her mug. It could be nothing. Vans parked on streets all the time. It didn't mean. The van's side door slid open. A man stepped out. Dark coat. Scanning the building. Lena jerked back from the window, heart hammering. If anything unusual happens, call this number. She grabbed her phone and Valon's card, fingers shaking as she dialed. It rang once. Lena, his voice was immediate alert. There's a van outside my apartment. A man just got out. He's watching my building. Are you inside? Yes. Lock your door. Don't leave. What do I? I'm 10 minutes away. Don't open the door for anyone. The line went dead. Lena locked the deadbolt, then the chain. She backed away from the door and sat on her couch, phone clutched in both hands. 10 minutes felt like an hour. When the knock finally came, she nearly jumped out of her skin. It's me, Valon's voice said from the other side. She unlocked the door. Valon stepped inside, eyes immediately scanning the apartment. Windows, sightlines, exits. He moved to the window and looked down at the street. The van was gone. They left when I pulled up, he said quietly.
Who are they?
And don't say hunters. I need a real answer. Valon turned to face her. In the daylight, he looked different, sharper somehow, like the morning had stripped away whatever softness night provided. I'll explain, he said. But not here. You need to go to work like normal. Act like nothing is wrong. You want me to just pretend. If you panic, they'll know you know. That makes you more valuable. More valuable for what? Valon's expression darkened. Leverage. Lena went to work. It felt surreal, riding the bus, swiping her ID card, sitting at her desk like the world hadn't tilted sideways. She kept checking her phone. No messages. No calls. At lunch, Kenneth stopped by her cubicle. Lena, quick question, he smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Someone from building security called this morning asking about you. Wanted to verify your full name and schedule. Her blood went cold. Security? Yeah, said it was routine.
Just seemed odd, he shrugged.
Anyway, I gave them your info. No big deal, right? Right. Lena managed. No big deal. Kenneth walked away. Lena grabbed her phone and texted the number Valon had given her. Someone at my work asked for my name and schedule. My boss gave it to them. The reply came instantly. Leave.
Now.
She didn't argue. She grabbed her bag, told the receptionist she felt sick, and walked out into the midday sun. The street was crowded. Tourists, business people, street vendors. Normal city chaos. Lena started toward the bus stop. Then she heard it. An engine revving. She turned. A black sedan was accelerating toward her, wrong way down a one-way street, fast and getting faster. Time fractured. Lena's brain screamed at her legs to move, but they felt like concrete. The car was 15 feet away. 10. 5. A hand grabbed her arm and yanked her backward with inhuman force. She stumbled into the narrow gap between two buildings as the sedan roared past, so close she felt the heat of the engine. It screeched around the corner and disappeared. Lena collapsed against the brick wall, gasping. Valon stood in front of her, perfectly still except for his eyes, scanning the street, the rooftops, every angle. How did you? Lena couldn't finish the sentence. Her whole body was shaking. I told you to leave. You walked. I was going to the bus. They were waiting for that. Valon's jaw tightened. They know your routines now. Where you live. Where you work. How you move. Because of you. No, his pale eyes locked onto hers. Because of you. Lena stared at him. That doesn't make any sense. It will. He glanced at the street one more time, then back to her. We can't talk here. Too exposed. Then where? Somewhere they can't follow. Valon, I need answers.
Now.
Not later.
Now.
He studied her face for a long moment, weighing something she couldn't see. Finally, he nodded. Tonight. I'll tell you everything. Promise. Yes. And the truth this time? Not the vague, cryptic version. Something flickered in his expression, almost like regret. The truth, he said quietly, even though you're going to wish I'd kept lying. Lena's chest tightened. Meet me at the corner of 5th and Hamilton at sunset, Valon continued. Don't tell anyone. Don't bring anything you can't leave behind. Why does that sound like you're preparing me to run? Valon didn't answer. He just stepped back onto the sidewalk, hands in his pockets, and walked away, dissolving into the crowd like a shadow at noon. Lena stood there, heart still racing, and realized something terrifying. She believed him. Sunset painted the city in shades of amber and blood. Lena stood at the corner of 5th and Hamilton, hands shoved deep in her jacket pockets. She'd left work early, gone home to change, and spent the last 2 hours convincing herself this was insane. Meeting a strange man on a street corner after someone tried to run her down. But the alternative, going home pretending everything was fine, felt more dangerous. Valon appeared exactly at sunset, as if he'd timed it. Follow me, he said, and started walking.
No greeting. No explanation.
Lena hurried to catch up. Where are we going? Up. They turned down an alley, then another. Valon stopped at a rusted fire escape and climbed without hesitation. Lena followed, her sneakers scraping against metal rungs. They went up 5 stories. Then 6. Then onto the roof. The city sprawled beneath them, lights beginning to flicker on as darkness settled in. Wind whipped Lena's hair across her face. She pushed it back and turned to Valon. Okay. We're alone. Talk. Valon stood at the roof's edge, silhouetted against the dying light. For a moment, he didn't move. Then he spoke. Vampires exist. Lena blinked. What? You asked for the truth. That's where it starts. She waited for him to smile, to laugh, to admit this was some elaborate joke. He didn't. Vampires, Lena repeated slowly, are not real. They are. We are. Valon turned to face her. I am. The world tilted. Lena took a step back.
No.
No, that's... People would know. There would be evidence.
Bodies.
Something. There is. Hundreds of missing persons every year that never get solved. Murders with no logical explanation. Security footage that shows someone in one frame and nothing in the next. His voice remained calm. Factual. Your world doesn't see us, because it doesn't want to. This is insane. Yes. Lena's mind spun. She thought about the way he'd moved in the parking garage. The way those men had obeyed him. The inhuman speed when he'd pulled her from the street.
Prove it, she said.
Valon's expression didn't change. If I do, there's no going back. I'm already here. On a rooftop. With a man claiming to be a vampire. I think we're past the point of no return. He nodded slowly. Then he moved. One moment he stood 10 feet away. The next, he was directly in front of her, too fast for her eyes to track. The air itself seemed to bend around him. Lena's breath caught. Valon opened his mouth. His canines extended, sharp, white, unmistakable. Then they retracted. He stepped back, giving her space. Lena's legs felt weak. She sat down hard on the rooftop gravel, hands pressed to her face. Oh my God, she whispered. Oh my God. Valon crouched a few feet away, not touching her. Breathe. She tried.
Failed.
Tried again. This isn't real. This can't be real. It is. Minutes passed. Maybe hours. Lena didn't know. Finally, she lowered her hands and looked at him. Why are they after me?
I'm nobody.
I'm a waitress who got promoted to filing paperwork. No, Valon said quietly. You're not. Something in his tone made her chest tighten. 200 years ago, Valon continued, there was a treaty, the human-vampire peace order. It kept balance between our worlds. Vampires stayed in the shadows.
Humans tayo ignorant.
And a single bloodline ruled both sides, half human, half vampire. Royal mediators. Lena shook her head. What does that have to do with? The last heir of that bloodline disappeared a century ago. Everyone assumed the line was dead. The treaty collapsed. War broke out. Tens of thousands died before an uneasy truce formed. The wind howled across the rooftop. But the line wasn't dead, Valon said. It was hidden. Lena's skin went cold.
No.
Your mother's maiden name was Thorne. Your grandmother was Elena Thorne. Your great-grandmother was Celeste Thorne, who vanished from historical records in 1924. That doesn't mean. You have the mark, Lena. What mark? Valon gestured to her left wrist. The birthmark you've had your whole life. The one that looks like a crescent moon. Lena looked down at her wrist. At the small, pale mark she'd never thought twice about. That's the seal of the peace order, Valon said. It appears on every member of the royal bloodline. It can't be faked, can't be removed, and it only activates when you're in danger. Activates. Have you noticed it lately? Felt it burn?
Itch.
She had. Last night, after the gala. This morning, when the van appeared. She'd thought it was stress. Your family hid you, Valon continued. Changed your name. Moved you every few years. Kept you away from both sides. Because if either vampires or humans knew you existed, they'd use you. Use me for what? To restart the order. Or to destroy it permanently. Valon's pale eyes held hers. You're the only legitimate heir. The only one with the bloodline and the mark. Which means you're the only person who can restore the treaty or break it forever. Lena's head spun. This is... I can't. I know. Who are you? She asked. Really? I'm the last surviving knight of the peace order. Sworn to protect the royal bloodline at any cost, he paused. I've been searching for you for 70 years. 70. Lena's voice cracked. How old are you? 243. She laughed. It came out broken, half hysterical. This is insane. Yes. So what now? Those men, the hunters, they want to kill me? Some do. Others want to capture you. Use your blood to create more hybrids. Or force you to reinstate the treaty under their terms. Valon's expression hardened. Either way, you're not safe.
Great. Perfect.
Fantastic. Lena stood, legs shaky. So, I'm supposed to what? Hide forever. That's one option. What's the other? Valon rose to his full height, silhouetted against the city lights. You learn to fight back. Day 3.
Dawn.
Lena met Valon on the same rooftop, exhausted from another sleepless night spent processing impossible truths. I still don't understand why I need to train, she said. You're the 200-year-old vampire knight. Can't you just protect me? I can protect you from most things, Valon replied. But not everything. Not all at once. And the moment I'm not there, you need to survive on your own. He gestured to the city below. Lesson 1, Awareness. Tell me what you see. Lena looked out over the buildings.
Streets. Cars.
People going to work. Too general. Look again. She tried. There's a coffee shop on the corner. A bus stop. Some guy walking his dog. Better. Now tell me which one doesn't belong. Lena scanned again. Everyone looked normal.
Busy.
Distracted. Then she saw him. A man in a gray jacket, standing perfectly still near a lamppost. Not checking his phone. Not waiting for anyone. Just watching. Him, she said. Good. You spotted a tail. Now tell me, how do you lose him? I run. Running tells him you know. He calls for backup. You get cornered. Valon moved beside her. You blend. Use the crowd. Change your silhouette. He handed her a baseball cap and a different jacket from his bag. Put these on. Walk 3 blocks north. Stop at the newsstand. Buy something. Then come back a different route. That's it. If he's still watching when you return, you failed. Lena took the items and climbed down the fire escape, heart pounding. Day 4. Evening. An abandoned warehouse on the east side. How do you know when someone's following you? Valon asked. Lena thought about yesterday's test.
You.
Look for patterns? Same person appearing twice in different places?
Close.
But you don't look. You listen. He walked behind her, footsteps barely audible. Sound tells you more than sight. Rhythm, distance, weight distribution. How am I supposed to hear that in a crowded street? Practice. He made her walk through the warehouse blindfolded, tracking his movements by sound alone. She failed 17 times before she finally anticipated his position correctly.
Better, Valon said.
Again. Day 5. Afternoon. A park. Families everywhere. Children playing. Lesson 3, Valon said. How to disappear in plain sight. I thought that was lesson 1. That was how to avoid being followed. This is how to vanish when they've already spotted you. He pointed across the park. I'm the hunter. You have 60 seconds to make me lose you without leaving the park. Go. Lena ran. She ducked behind trees, tried to blend with a group of joggers, even crouched behind a bench. Valon found her every time. You're thinking like prey, he said after the 5th attempt. Hiding. Prey gets caught. Then what do I think like? Someone who belongs here. He made her try again. This time Lena didn't hide. She walked straight to a family having a picnic and asked if she could pet their dog. She laughed, chatted, looked completely relaxed. When Valon approached, scanning the area, his eyes passed right over her. She stayed still, kept smiling. He walked past. Better, he said when she rejoined him 10 minutes later. Much better. Day 6.
Night.
Back alleys. Narrow spaces. Uneven ground. If you have to run, don't run fast, Valon said. Run smart. What's the difference? Fast running is predictable. Straight lines. Easy to chase, he gestured down the alley. Smart running uses terrain. Corners. Obstacles. Anything that slows them down more than it slows you. He made her sprint through the alleys while he pursued, never touching her, but always close enough that she felt the pressure. Lena's lungs burned. Her legs screamed. Think. Valon's voice echoed behind her. What's in your path? A dumpster. She vaulted over it, heard him take the longer route around. Gained 3 seconds. A chain-link fence. She climbed, dropped, kept moving. 5 seconds. By the end of the hour, she'd learned to navigate the urban maze like it was built for her. Day 7. Sunset. The rooftop where it all started. Lena sat on the edge, legs dangling, breathing hard. Her body ached. Her mind felt stretched thin. Last lesson, Valon said, sitting beside her, close, but not touching. Let me guess. How to fight a vampire?
No.
How to breathe under fear. Lena turned to look at him. What? Everything I've taught you is useless if you panic. Fear makes you slow. Makes you stupid. His pale eyes reflected the city lights. So, you need to learn how to stay calm when every instinct is screaming at you to fall apart. And how do I do that? You practice failing.
He stood.
I'm going to chase you.
For real this time.
Full speed. And when I catch you, and I will, you're going to focus on one thing, breathing. Not fighting. Not running. Just breathing. Lena's stomach dropped. Are you serious? Yes. That sounds terrifying. It is. That's the point. Before she could protest, Valon stepped back into shadow. You have 10 seconds, his voice said from the darkness. Run. Lena ran. He caught her in less than a minute, appearing from nowhere, arm around her waist, lifting her off the ground. Every muscle in her body locked up. Breathe, Valon's voice said calmly near her ear. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. She tried.
Failed. Gasped.
Again. It took 6 attempts before her breathing steadied. Valon set her down gently. Better. They repeated the exercise 4 more times. By the end, Lena's heart still raced when he caught her, but her mind stayed clear. Good, Valon said as the last light faded from the sky. You're ready. Ready for what? His expression darkened. For what comes next? The call came at midnight. They know where you are. Valon's voice was tight with urgency. Get out.
Now.
Lena was already moving, grabbing her jacket and the small bag she'd kept packed since training started. Where do I go? East Industrial Complex. The old train yard. I'll meet you there. That's miles away. Take the back route I showed you. Stay off main streets. Move fast. The line went dead. Lena's hands shook as she slipped out her apartment window onto the fire escape. Below, she saw them. 2 figures in dark coats approaching her building's entrance. She went up instead of down, crossing rooftops the way Valon had taught her, then descending 3 buildings over. The city felt different at night. Hostile. Every shadow could hide something. She moved through back alleys, keeping to the darkness, controlling her breathing the way she'd practiced. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. It took 40 minutes to reach the train yard. Rusted tracks stretched across cracked concrete. Abandoned boxcars sat like sleeping giants, covered in graffiti. The air smelled like oil and decay. Valon, she called softly. No answer. Lena's instinct screamed at her to run, but she'd learned to breathe through fear. She scanned the area, listening for sounds that didn't belong. That's when she heard it, a footstep. Too heavy. Too close. She spun. A man emerged from behind a boxcar. Then another. Then 3 more. 5 total. All wearing black tactical gear. The one in front smiled. Lena Thorne. Or should I say Lena Martinez. Your family really thought changing your name would hide you forever. Lena backed up slowly, hand sliding into her jacket pocket where she kept the small knife Valon had given her. I don't want trouble. Too late for that. They moved in formation, spreading out to cut off escape routes. Professional. Trained. Lena's mind raced through everything Valon had taught her. Don't run fast. Run smart. Use terrain. She bolted toward the nearest boxcar. 2 men followed. Lena grabbed the ladder and climbed, muscles burning. She reached the top and ran across the boxcar roof, jumped to the next one, barely made it. Behind her, the men were climbing. She dropped down the other side, landing hard, pain shooting through her ankle. Keep moving. She ducked under a rail car, crawled through, came up on the other side, and ran straight into the man from the front. He grabbed her arm, yanked her close. Got you. Panic surged. Breathe. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. Lena forced her mind to clear. She remembered day 6. Valon's voice. If someone grabs you, they expect you to pull away. Do the opposite. Instead of pulling back, Lena stepped forward, into his space, and drove her knee up hard. The man grunted, grip loosening. She twisted her arm the way Valon had shown her, breaking the hold, and ran. 3 more appeared ahead, blocking her path. Trapped. The men closed in from both sides. It's over, one of them said. Come quietly, and we won't hurt you. Liar. A voice said from above. Valon dropped from the top of a boxcar, landing between Lena and the men with inhuman grace. He didn't say anything else. He just moved. It wasn't like the movies.
No flashy spins. No dramatic poses.
Just brutal, efficient violence. Valon caught the first man's punch, twisted his arm until something cracked, and threw him into the second man.
Both went down.
The third swung a baton. Valon ducked under it, stepped inside his guard, and struck once, precise, lethal. The man collapsed. The remaining 2 pulled knives. Valon's eyes flashed silver in the darkness, not metaphorically. actually glowed. The men hesitated. That hesitation cost them. Valon disarmed the first in 2 moves, caught the second by the throat, and lifted him off the ground one-handed. "Who sent you?" Valon's voice was cold as winter. The man choked, clawing at Valon's grip. "Answer."
"The
Covenant," the man gasped. "They want
the heir."
alive." Valon dropped him.
"Leave."
"Tell your masters she's protected." The men who could still walk dragged the others away, disappearing into the shadows. Silence settled over the train yard. Valon turned to Lena. "Are you hurt?"
"No."
She looked down at her hands. They were shaking. "I got away. That guy grabbed me, and I actually got away." "You remembered the training." "I didn't panic," Lena's voice cracked. "I should have panicked. That was insane. But I didn't." Something shifted in Valon's expression, pride, maybe. Or relief. "You did well. They almost took me, but they didn't. Because you fought back." He moved closer. "That's important, Lena. You're not a victim anymore. You're becoming something else." "What?" "What you were born to be." Lena looked at the scattered bodies, the evidence of violence. A week ago, she would have broken down.
Called the police. Hidden.
Now she just felt
awake.
"The Covenant," she said. "Who are they?" "The largest vampire faction. They want to control the peace order, which means controlling you. And if they can't..." Valon's silence was answer enough. "We need to move," he said. "This location is compromised. I know a place where you'll be safe." "For how long?" "Long enough to decide what happens next." Lena followed him through the train yard, past the wreckage of the fight.
"Valon," she said.
"Yes. Thank you. For teaching me. For coming when." "Don't thank me yet," his voice was quiet. "The hard part is just beginning." They disappeared into the night, leaving nothing behind but questions and blood on concrete. And for the first time since this nightmare started, Lena realized something. She wasn't just running anymore. She was learning to stand. The safe house wasn't what Lena expected. She'd imagined something industrial, concrete walls, security cameras, weapons. Instead, Valon brought her to a small stone cottage hidden in the woods, 2 hours outside the city. Ivy climbed the walls. Wildflowers grew through cracks in the path. It looked like something from a fairy tale. "How is this safe?" Lena asked as they approached. "It's protected by wards. Old magic. Only those with royal blood can enter, and those they bring with them." Valon pushed open the wooden door. "It's been here for 300 years. The Covenant doesn't know it exists." Inside, the cottage was simple but lived in. A stone fireplace, handmade furniture, bookshelves lining every wall, and symbols carved into the wooden beams, painted on the stones, woven into tapestries, intricate designs Lena had never seen before but somehow felt she should recognize. "What are these?" she asked, tracing her fingers over a carving near the door. "The seal of the peace order. Different versions, different eras." Valon lit a fire in the hearth. This was a meeting place. Neutral ground where human and vampire leaders could negotiate without fear. Lena moved deeper into the cottage. On one wall hung portraits, faded, centuries old. Men and women in formal dress, all bearing a similar feature, pale crescents on their left wrists. Her wrist tingled. "My family," she whispered. "Your ancestors. The mediators. The bridge between worlds." She stopped at one portrait, a woman with dark hair and fierce eyes, dated 1823. The nameplate read, Elena Celeste Thorne. "Your great-great-grandmother," Valon said behind her. She was the last heir to successfully lead the order. She kept peace for 40 years before she disappeared. What happened to her? No one knows. Some say she was assassinated. Others believe she went into hiding when she realized the treaty was failing. He paused. Either way, when she vanished, the order collapsed. Lena couldn't stop staring at the portrait. The woman looked strong. unafraid. Nothing like the waitress Lena had been 2 weeks ago. She moved to a large table in the center of the room. It was covered in papers, old maps, ledgers, handwritten letters yellowed with age. What is all this? Records. Every negotiation, every treaty, every conflict resolved by your bloodline. Valon stood across from her. This is your inheritance, Lena. Not money, not power, responsibility. She picked up one of the letters, squinting at the elegant handwriting. To maintain peace, one must understand both sides equally. To be trusted by all, one must belong to none. This is the burden and the gift of our blood. It was signed by Elena Thorne. Lena set the letter down, hands trembling. I don't understand. Why me?
I'm no ubedi.
I wasn't raised for this. I don't know how to lead anything. You weren't raised for this because your family wanted you to be safe. To have a normal life. Valon's pale eyes held hers. But the blood doesn't care what you were taught. It cares what you are. And what am I? The last legitimate heir. The only person both sides might actually listen to. Might. There are no guarantees. The world has changed. Vampires are fractured into dozens of factions. Humans have no idea we exist. And those who do know either want to weaponize us or eradicate us. Valon's voice was heavy. But you have something no one else does, the authority of the bloodline. And that means something. Even now. Lena walked to the window. Outside, sunlight filtered through the trees, peaceful and deceptively simple. What if I can't do it? She asked quietly. What if I'm not strong enough? You got away from trained hunters using techniques you learned in 5 days. You didn't break. You didn't surrender. Valon moved beside her. That's more strength than most people show in a lifetime. But leading? Making decisions that affect thousands of people? That's different.
Yes, it is.
She turned to face him. What do you think I should do? I can't answer that. Why not? You've been searching for me for 70 years. You must have an opinion. Valon was quiet for a long moment. I spent 7 decades imagining what I'd say when I found you. How I'd convince you to reclaim your throne. Restore the order. Fix everything that broke. He looked at her. But now that you're here, I realize something. What? This isn't my choice to make. It's yours. He stepped back. I can protect you. I can teach you. I can fight for you. But I cannot choose your destiny for you. Lena felt tears burning behind her eyes. I don't know if I'm brave enough. You already are. You just don't see it yet. She looked around the cottage, at the portraits, the symbols, the centuries of history pressing down on her like a physical weight. Then she looked at her wrist, at the small crescent moon birthmark that had always been there, meaningless, until now. If I do this, she said slowly, if I try to rebuild the order, what happens? War, probably. The Covenant won't accept your authority willingly. Other factions will test you. Humans will fear you once they learn the truth. That's a great sales pitch. Valon's mouth twitched, almost a smile. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm telling you the truth. And if I just hide, live quietly, they'll keep hunting you. Forever. Because as long as you exist, you're a threat to everyone who benefits from chaos. So really, there was no choice at all. Lena took a deep breath, looked at Elena Thorne's portrait one more time. Then she turned to Valon.
Teach me, she said.
Not just how to survive, how to lead. Valon's expression shifted, relief, pride, something deeper she couldn't name. He lowered himself to one knee. I swear to serve you, Lena Thorne, last heir of the peace order. Not as your master, not as your keeper, but as your knight. Lena felt something shift inside her, like a door opening she didn't know existed. Then stand, she said quietly. We have work to do. The city looked different from up here. Lena stood on the same rooftop where Valon had first told her the truth, where her old life had ended and this strange, impossible new one had begun. That felt like years ago. It had been 6 weeks. 6 weeks of studying the old records, learning the names of vampire factions and their leaders, understanding the treaties her ancestors had written, memorizing the symbols of power that marked her bloodline. 6 weeks of training not just to survive, but to command. And tonight, she would step back into the world. Not as the scared waitress who'd rented a boyfriend for $100. As something else entirely. Are you ready? Valon's voice came from behind her. Lena turned. He stood in the shadows as always. Perfectly still. Perfectly controlled. But something had changed between them. The distance had closed, just slightly. Not romance.
Something deeper than that. Trust.
No, Lena said honestly. But I don't think I ever will be. So it might as well be now. Valon moved to stand beside her, looking out over the city. The Covenant has agreed to meet. So has the Crimson Assembly and the Northern Coven. They want to see you. Assess whether you're legitimate. And if they decide I'm not, then we fight. Lena smiled slightly. You say that so calmly. I've been fighting for 2 centuries. It's just what I do, he glanced at her. But I'd prefer not to. Tonight is about diplomacy, not war. My great-great-grandmother's specialty. Yes. Lena looked down at her wrist. The crescent mark had changed over the past weeks, darkened, sharpened. It no longer looked like a birthmark. It looked like what it was, a seal, a symbol of authority carved into her skin by blood and history. They're going to test me, she said. Yes. They're going to question my right to lead. Yes. Some of them will try to kill me. Valon's jaw tightened. They'll try. Lena took a deep breath. The night air was cold, but she didn't shiver. She'd learned to breathe through discomfort, through fear. Then let them come. The meeting was held in an abandoned cathedral, neutral ground, sanctified by old magic that prevented violence within its walls. Lena entered with Valon 1 step behind her. Not beside her, not in front of her, behind. Because she led now. The cathedral was lit by hundreds of candles. Shadows danced across stone walls and broken stained glass. And standing throughout the space were them. Vampires.
Dozens of them.
Lena had seen Valon move with inhuman speed, watched his eyes glow silver. But seeing a room full of beings like him, ancient, powerful, predatory, was something else entirely. They watched her with expressions ranging from curiosity to contempt. A woman stepped forward, tall, elegant, with silver hair and eyes like ice. Lena Martinez. Or should I call you Thorn? Thorn, Lena said clearly. Lena Thorn. I am Serana, Speaker of the Covenant. The woman's gaze raked over her. You claim the right of the bloodline. I don't claim it. I have it. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Arrogant, a male voice said from the shadows. She's been awake to our world for weeks and thinks she can command us. I don't think I can command you, Lena said, turning toward the voice. I know I can invite you to remember what we lost when the order fell. Silence. Serana's expression didn't change. And what did we lose? Balance.
Stability.
A world where both sides could exist without constant war. Lena stepped forward. My ancestors kept peace for 3 centuries. Not through force. Through dialogue. Through compromise. Through understanding that neither side could thrive if the other was destroyed. Pretty words, another vampire said. But the world has changed. Humans are stronger now. More numerous. They don't need us anymore. And you don't need them? Lena challenged. You don't need their blood? Their cities? Their infrastructure? She looked around the cathedral. You survive in the shadows of humanity. You always have. And humans, the few who know the truth, live in fear of monsters they can't see. That's not strength. That's just mutual suffering. Serana studied her for a long moment. You speak well. But words are easy. Leadership requires more. I know. Lena met her gaze. Which is why I'm not asking you to follow me blindly. I'm asking you to give the order a chance. 1 generation. Let me prove that the old ways can work in the new world. And if you fail? Then you'll be no worse off than you are now. Another long silence. Then Serana did something unexpected. She smiled. You sound like your great-grandmother. She was insufferably reasonable, too. The vampire tilted her head. Very well, Lena Thorne. The Covenant will recognize your claim, provisionally. You have 1 year to show us the order can function. Others in the room nodded slowly. Not enthusiastically. But it was agreement. It was a start. Later, back on the rooftop, Lena let herself finally breathe. You did it, Valon said quietly. I didn't do anything yet. They gave me a year to prove myself. Which is more than anyone expected. He looked at her with something close to admiration. You've come far from the woman who rented a boyfriend for $100. Lena laughed. Real, genuine. Best $100 I ever spent. Even though it nearly got you killed. Even though. The full moon hung above them, casting silver light across the city. Their city now. Not conquered. Not owned. But protected. Valon stood at attention, hands clasped behind his back. The eternal night. Lena smiled. You don't have to stand like that anymore. We're alone. I know, but he didn't move. Old habits. She understood.
Some things took time to change.
Come on, Lena said, turning toward the fire escape. We have a council meeting in the morning. And I still need to figure out what I'm going to say to the human representatives when we finally reach them. One step at a time.
Right.
One step at a time. They descended into the city together, the heir and her knight. The war wasn't over. The world hadn't transformed overnight. There were still hunters. Still factions that rejected her authority. Still endless obstacles ahead. But the hunted was no longer prey. She was the one who stood. And that changed everything.